Hello and welcome to From the Stylist Chair podcast, the place where we are building confidence one head at a time. I am your host, LYNN Thatcher, and we are back for part 2 of Deep Conditioning with Mr. Gregg Harrison.
The title of this episode is called Deep Conditioning.
Deep conditioning, okay. The deep conditioning, I'm saying we as black people, whatever word we want to use, black, Negro, and I'm old enough to have gone through all these terms, Negro, colored, etc. We have from outside sources around us, of the other people, I'm just going to say other people, so I don't want to offend people just right now. We have let them condition us to think some things about ourselves that is not true. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. They continually try to attach negative to the word black. We are resilient people.
Yeah.
We are so resilient.
Are you over-processed, losing your hair, and looking for a new therapist? Well, the Stylist Chair is where client confessions and declarations are made. The place where confusion is detangled, new shades of confidence is created, smudges are cleansed away, and edges are relaxed. Most importantly, it's the place where we gently cut away our unhealthy past and start the process of restoration, all in an effort to prevent further damage. My name is LYNN Thatcher, and I am your creative stylist, restorative hair care specialist, and confidence coach. While creating a culture that cultivates the mind, body, and soul, I advocate for being intentional in your pursuit of confidence and personal development. I specialize in unwrapping the layers of low self-esteem and depositing high volumes of confidence. Welcome to your scheduled appointment at From the Stylist Chair podcast, the place where we are building confidence one head at a time. The salon is now open and all walk-ins are welcome. So come on in and don't forget to grab a towel just in case you get some water in your eyes. Have a seat in my chair and let's talk hair.
We as black people have to continually encourage ourselves. So that's why we always talk about getting around positive people who bring the best out of you. Mm-hmm. And when you consistently around those people who tear down everything they have is just negative, they say distance yourself from them. Mm-hmm. And if you really can, if they're at work, you got to come up with different strategies. Mm-hmm. But I like this podcast because I want you to be able to start talking to people about mental health things, barriers. Call them out before it's too big for them to jump over. Mm-hmm. And I think this was one of the things you were talking about, the hair. Now my mind is hair therapy, but you called it something else.
Oh, the certification that I took,
yes.
Psychotherapy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We need more of that.
Yeah.
So the people could come in, sit, and you make them remember, realize, okay, I remember what I went through, but I also realize there's a thing I always call hope. Mm-hmm. And you keep pulling it out and putting it in and pulling out. You plant those seeds, mm-hmm. and that's why your shop needs to be bigger to some degree. Mm-hmm. But we'll see where the Lord takes you. Mm-hmm. We'll see where He takes with all this. But this is really very therapeutic and necessary for our people. Mm-hmm. I love it.
So, with all of that being said, so I always say, for me, like, in realizing what I'm called to and marrying that, for lack of a better word, with, you know, my passion of arts of all kinds. Mm-hmm. You know, hair is definitely, it's an art. And so in knowing that behind the chair, like today, I sit in the chair. Mm-hmm. When you sit in the chair, you receive something from the chair. But when I'm behind the chair, mm-hmm. like that is me doing ministry from behind the chair. Mm-hmm. So with this being similar to being in an actual pulpit in the church. You know what that's like.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, I do.
So there are similarities to both. However, there's only so much that we can do here. But a lot of times we only focus on here. So everything that you just mentioned about, you know, people needing this and what people get from being in the salon and in the barber shop, or we can even say being in church, as it pertains to those people that may never step foot in none of those places. They may never come in here. They may never go in the barber shop because their cousin is cutting their hair at home.
Right.
You know, they may never step foot in church, inside the church walls. How do we then take those things that you just talked about and take it beyond here?
Out of the structures, easy. Easy question to ask. Now, I thought about this. It's so interesting that you went there. There's an old song, it's not a church song. It's called Taking It to the Streets. I can't remember the various artists who've done it, Taking It to the Streets.
Yeah.
Taking It to the Streets. Now, my favorite version is by the Doobie Brothers, Michael McDonald singing, Taking It to the Streets. If we get back to the gospel, going into Luke, 23rd chapter, and a dinner was made and it was prepared and people kept making excuses. I just got married. Oh, I bought some oxen. Oh, I need to go bury my father. And then Jesus told his people, said, go out into the highways and hedges and tell the people it's ready. This is one of the things I believe churches from East Coast, West Coast, North and South on America continent, this is where we have failed.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the streets. I don't say take back the streets because we never had the streets.
Come on.
But we need to take this to the streets where the people are. And I don't mean in a nasty attitude. I don't mean calling names, casting stones or rocks at them, which is one of the things I'm leaning in that direction, where go to various places and just have a few songs maybe, but definitely the word. Definitely word. And I feel like I was talking to Michelle, said, I want to be able to do ministry without being stuck behind the pulpit and hoping and praying that somebody saw us on YouTube or any of those social medias and they just happen to come in. Even, you know, in culture churches, we don't say you didn't happen. Nothing happens, just happens. You were meant to come in. But we are hoping that we have evangelism by accident.
Yeah.
And I want to get away from that, where we go to the streets, we go to the parks and the marketplaces, and you don't have to have a whole setup.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're supposed to be church anyway.
Yeah.
We are the church. Not worrying about another building fund. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want us to go to the streets, tell the people, go to these parks, you see the man. Even if our first thing is actually going to be, we're going to have a table, it's going to have a banner on the front, it says prayer. I don't care who you are, what you look like, how tall, short, whatever it is that defines you, I do not care. If you want prayer, we're going to pray for you.
Yeah.
And say, bless you, and go on, because many times, that's all people will need. They said somebody actually cared. I don't need you to don't bring a penny. Don't bring a cent. Don't worry about the money. We're doing this because we're God's children, right?
Yeah.
We are supposed to love the way he loves, which is like, oh my goodness, you're a person. I have to stop looking for reasons not to love you.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. Oh, I don't like the way you're dressed, so I can love you just a little less. I don't like what's on you. I don't even like tattoos on you. You know, we go through all of those
All
things.
the things, yeah.
And we truncate the love that we're supposed to be displaying. And I said, so we need to go back to the street. And there are people who need that. Just somebody spoke to me. Somebody thought I was worth it. God thinks you're worth it. That's why he's using us. He thinks you're worth it. They have somebody, let me just lay a hand on you. Let me just lay a hand and say, you know what? I'm acknowledging you as a person. I love you. If you need some more information, a prayer, you need to talk, here's the information. Let me give this to you. And go from there. Sometimes we've made it too difficult.
Yeah.
We put up more barriers. And so the kind of therapy that people have where they get to come in and sit down and listen to people pour into them, which is what the church is supposed to do, pour into the people the word of God. So that's the power, that's planting the seed. We just need to get out and start doing that.
And I mean, and that's how you bring restoration back to the people.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, because that's what's happening when you are deep conditioning, broken hair. I mean, you
broken
know.
hair, broken hearts, souls, people, spirits. Yes.
Yeah, that's how you bring back restoration. So how do you think, because as you was talking, what came to my mind is, well, one thing is, during quarantine, I read a book called From Social Media to Social Ministry. It's a good read. Definitely need to read it a couple more times.
Okay.
But I know a lot of ministries get caught up in the fact that, you know, everybody wants to watch church online and, you know, and, oh, I'm not gonna do online because you're trying to force people to come back into the building and for whatever the reasons are, but we're not in that time anymore. And like you said, we can still take the gospel to people, but why do we have to expect them to come into the four doors to get it? You know, outreach has always been a thing, but it seems to die down. I don't know if it's with each generation or is it with each change of just how we're social, like, I don't know. So my question is, number one, how and why, but how has the church failed those on the outside that'll never be reached if you don't go out?
They do these things like, if I look like the world looks, dress like them, I'll sing and do dances and everything in the building like the world, that should attract them. And we were wrong. In the Bible, you do not see and read where that type of evangelism is endorsed or encouraged. Yes, Jesus went out and talked to people. Yes, he did all the stuff, but he wanted people to change. He didn't try and look like the world, sing like the world, dance like the world. I've been to a few churches, and my past was I was a dancer and singer. I love nightclubs. I'm singing and dancing in nightclubs. And it bothers my spirit of time when we're in a church building and a choir comes up and the movements and the things they're doing are just what I used to do in the club. And I'm saying, why should I come here? I was doing that over there last night, 2, 3 a.m. So you're not different from me. We've lost the potency of the word when you don't present it in the way it should be. So we failed because we try to be like them, look like them, act like them. And I asked somebody, I said, so you're going to resemble the people out there, walk like them, talk, use the language they do, etc. At what point are you going to flip the script and try and give them the whole word? When are you going to say, now let's talk about holiness? I really did. I got you in here by pretending I'm more like you, but that's not how God wants it done.
Yeah.
There's a distinct, it's a, you're a believer or non-believer. You're a sheep or a goat, and I know it will offend some people. In fact, the Bible says it's going to offend a lot of people, but we're supposed to present his word as it is in the context. That's where the power is. I'm not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is, and we know this. I'm not going to start preaching today.
No, go.
But I want people to say, what does the word say? Not what do you wish it said. And stop trying to say, well, you know, this is 2023 or whatever. Things change. People
change.
His word is the same. So take his word, love the people, go on out there.
Yeah.
Go on out there.
Yeah.
You don't need to have a certain ability, like I said, even a little portable podium, a table or something, and say, let's have prayer. If God leads you to give them some scriptures to talk about, because God might make you connect with the person you're looking at and say, brother and sister, I can understand. Can I pray for you? And he'll give you the word to give to them. But if we really love the Lord and we really want people to live that Christian life, that loving life, we have to get out there where they are.
Yeah.
And stop being afraid. Stop being so scared. And I'm talking to myself as I'm saying this. I'm reminding myself, stop being so afraid.
Yeah. And afraid of what?
Afraid of, first thing we do really is afraid of looking silly in front of people. We're afraid of rejection. But if you're doing God's work, he's going to take the accountability and responsibility and of the results, because you're doing it to magnify and glorify him, right? So once you take yourself out of that equation and stop saying, well, I'm going to look silly, I'm going to look different. In other words, you describe yourself as a Christian. You are different. So don't be afraid to go out there if God is leading you to. It is not for everybody. It is not for everybody to go out and do that. But I honestly believe there are many, many people sitting in buildings who would do so awesome if you just let them go outside and walk and talk to the people.
Yeah.
You see them, they have pleasant personalities when they talk about movies, talk about things that they've done, the reunions, whatever it is, just natural things. They're talking. I'm looking and watching these people, and they just pull you in. It's like, Lord, if we just talk like that to people on the outside,
Yeah.
he's accountable. You know, the Bible does say, upon this rock, I will build my church. And stop coming up with all these church growth strategies. When I see those books, I just discount them, discard them, whatever. Don't need a church growth strategy. Do what God tells you to do. Just do that. Like the old mother says, do the book. Get out there, talk to the people, show them that you do love them. You do want, there is hope. You want them to have a changed life. That's what a Christian life is. It is new life through Christ Jesus. Restoring them. Restoring them. We have the ministry of reconciliation, which is another word for restoring them, right? Back to the right relationship with the Father. It's like when you're restoring the hair, you know what the hair is supposed to look like. And then you see, we come in, we sit in your chair, you walk around us circumspectly, and you check us out. And in your mind, you're saying, oh, I have to get this, I'm going to have to handle this. They got a little sore spot here. I got to get down to the roots of all this. But my objective is to pull that back up, to restore. So there's a lot of similarities in restoring the hair, restoring the person's relationship, restoring them to the point where they can look at themselves and feel so much better about being restored to who they're supposed to be. Who they're supposed to be. And that way a man could stop, how I want to say this the right way. Part of my conviction when I was living like that was, I can tell, when it came time to shave for work in the morning, I was working for Proctor, so I always had to look neat. I got to a point, I would shave in dim light because I didn't want to stand in that bathroom mirror and look at my face, knowing the kind of lifestyle I was living.
Really?
Yes. And I've told this in our men's things in different churches. When men, we get together, I said, that was one of the points that finally was really coming true to me. I could not look at myself in the mirror to shave my face because I knew how much ugliness, how I was living. No, I wasn't doing drugs. No, I wasn't shooting anybody. No, but I was out there. I kept saying, oh my goodness, how do I get back? How do I get back? And fortunately, I was around a lot of people at Proctor and Gamble in the buildings who were pastors, deacons, for so many churches. God had me in the right place. And I kind of want to end this part by saying this. I thought my whole point of coming to Cincinnati was because I got a promotion from our Modesto manufacturing plant. And then I was put over all the manufacturing plants as what we call at the time a matrix leader, or whatever they want to call it then. I was even the project manager, and I had people at all the plants reporting to me. And Proctor would send me over all the United States, except for maybe 4 states, overseas, representing Proctor. So I said that to say Proctor also was where I finally met people, men, who would ask me this question, and ladies, where do you fellowship?
Okay.
When I was in California and different places, I never remember meeting a group of people and them saying, okay, you do this, I know you're fan, so where do you fellowship? And I'm in Cincinnati, within a year, everywhere I go, conversations, even if we're at, even in the parking lots of different places, somebody say, well, where do you fellowship if I want to hook up with you? So it really was about getting me to the point where God says, I'm going to use you for my glory. Oh, I know who you are. I know what you've done. I know what you're capable of. I know all about you.
But I
I'm
have
still
need of you.
calling you
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And that last conviction came, I was flying on the company plane. 3 or 4 of us went down there to Atlanta on a Thursday, did some business in there. I flew back that Saturday on the PMG corporate jet by myself. So I had 2 pilots, 12-passenger Learjet. I'm sitting back there, and to me, I was still G-money, smooth. And then it just hit me. This is like this, not that voice, but on the inside says, I just can't reach you, can I? I've done this. I've showed you this. Here you are on this Learjet flying back to Cincinnati. And when you get to Cincinnati, what are your plans? And my truth was, I was going to change my clothes, put on my all black, get in my Corvette, and go to some clubs. And God is like, no, this ends this weekend. I was hard-headed. I went to this club anyway. I think this club is still in there, but anyway, I went to this club. I was in a dance contest because I love to dance, and some people said, oh, come on, let's dance. So we're in the dance. And I'm dancing to one of my songs, Atomic Dog. The contest is going on. And you know, they go around, they tap people on the floor, sit down, sit down. There were like 3 couples left, me and 2 other couples. And I just stopped dancing. And the lady I was dancing with, I don't even remember her name, she says, gee, what's wrong? Why'd you stop? Are you okay? And I just looked, I said, I cannot do this. I said, I don't have a definition, explanation. I just felt like, what am I doing? Dancing to Atomic Dog in Brandy's. I got up, walked out, sat in my car, and I just cried. I said, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
And then within a week, somebody in my apartment complex started showing me, come to this church, come to this church. So that's how I went. And I say that because sometimes I really get embarrassed about talking about how I lived before I really even start paying attention that God kept calling me. It's about that restoration.
Yeah.
It's about restoration. It says that's the important part. It really is. So how are we going to, in our ways, based upon the gifts that God has put in us, restore people?
Yeah.
Restore. And I love this process that you're using with the podcasting because I believe you're going to be effective. And that's what I want for this. I'll keep praying for this whole thing for you, that it is effective as you restore the person, working with the roots.
Yeah.
With the head root, but then the soul also with the roots. And they start saying, wow, I am so glad.
Yeah.
And then God will open the doors.
Yeah.
He will open the doors.
Yeah. Well, you just ended it with what I was going to say. And that is that deep conditioning is all about restoring hope to people, to our churches, to our communities, to our minds, to our bodies, and to our souls. That is what deep conditioning is.
Just listen to it. It's so good.
So with all of that, thank you so much for joining me today at From the Stylist Chair podcast. And
Thank you for allowing me to be part of this.
It was definitely a pleasure being able to serve you today from the chair. And this probably will not be the last time, I'm sure, that you will be out here.
All right. Just let me know what you need.
Yes, for sure. And I know you have some things that you're working on. So there'll definitely be some collaborations going on, I'm sure.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Lord.
So, yes, thank you again for joining us. And to all of our listeners, we hope you enjoyed today's episode of Deep Conditioning. And if you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can meet us back here next week for your weekly scheduled appointment at From the Stylist Chair podcast, and we will see you next week.